Yo, what is good, beautiful people? Listen, it is another fun episode of SelzSpeaks. We are rocking back. Oh man, it's been fun. So, I recently did a thing, and I was like, you know what? Let me kind of share this dope experience that I just had. So, about a week ago, I was like on Twitter, and I saw this video with Andrew Tate. And basically, he kind of did this challenge where he says he does it all the time, but he decided to do 1,000 push-ups in a day. And so like there's a video of him doing it. Of course, it's sped up and stuff like that. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do the same thing. And so, as I'm talking to you guys, I have the video showing so you'll be able to see me doing it. And so I literally said on a Saturday night, all right, you know what, I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups in a day. And the very next day, that being on was it Saturday? Yeah, it was a Saturday actually. I literally did 1,000 push-ups. And it was a very interesting experience. It was a very educational experience. It was a very enjoyable experience. Like, I got a lot out of it, much more than I thought. And don't get me wrong, like towards the end, I was super sore. My arms was killing me. I was like going through it, but like it was a really dope and just great experience. And doing it, there were a bunch of lessons that I learned and a bunch of experiences that I went through. And I said, you know what? I think this would be dope for the podcast to kind of just share, the lessons that you can learn by making a decision to do something like 1,000 push-ups in a day. Because when you hear it, 1,000 push-ups in a day, it sounds crazy. It sounds like, what? Like, of all things, that's what you're going to do. Like, that's a lot. Like, I have a friend of mine. She said to me, she's like, I see with you, like, you never do anything little. Like, you always do, like, super hard stuff. And I was like, that's just how I'm built. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to make the time count. If I'm going to challenge myself, I want it to be like a really legitimate, strong challenge that's going to push me and I'm going to get something out of it. And ultimately, that's really what it was. And so to kind of start with the first lesson that I got from this, it's stop being afraid of doing hard things. Like, stop being hesitant to tackle the things in life that seem super challenging or almost impossible at times. It's like, when you hear the concept of 1,000 push-ups in a day, there's two ways you could take it. It could be like, oh my gosh, this is impossible. Or it's like, oh yeah, I can do that. Like, I just got to figure out how I'm going to do it, but I can do it. And like, I remember when I first heard it, it was like 1,000 push-ups. Like, that seems a lot. But once I just said, I'm doing this, like once I just decided I'm going to do this, it wasn't, I'm going to try. It's like, listen, if I got to be up till 4:00 in the morning the next day, I'm going to do this and I'm going to get this done. Unless it gets to a point where like I physically cannot do it because I'm hospitalized or like, my arm is messed up. Like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get it done. And so, yeah, that's really like the first lesson to pull away from that. Stop being afraid of doing hard things. Like, stop trying to, overthink it. Stop looking at this giant mountain and thinking about all the things that could go wrong or just, creating so much doubt in your mind or your heart. It's like, just do it. Just start. Like, literally just start. If it's this business that you've been wanting to start your whole life and you don't know what to do, just start. If you've been back and forth about, becoming a doctor or going to school and you're so worried about how long it's going to take you, just start. Stop worrying about how big it seems or how difficult it may be. I promise you, if you just start, you'll realize that all you have to do is just keep taking one step at a time, or in my case, one push-up at a time. And eventually, if you don't stop, if you don't give up, if you don't quit, you will accomplish your goal. So yeah, stop being afraid of things that appear to be hard. Just start. And that connects to the second lesson, which is, do things bit by bit, piece by piece. When I started doing these push-ups, I didn't do, 250 push-ups or 1,000 straight. I didn't do that. I started with like 5 or 6 sets of 50 straight. And then when I couldn't do 50 straight anymore, I was doing sets of 40, then sets of 30. And then at some point I was doing sets of 25, then sets of 20. And then like towards the last 900, my arms were just so shot. I was doing sets of 10. And for me, like, I've been a person that, you know, I've said this before, like, sometimes I struggle with the small wins. I struggle with appreciating the little things and how important those little and small wins are. And so what it taught me and what I lived and what I experienced is that when you do things, sometimes you will be able to do things in big chunks. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be able to do a set of 50. A set of 100, but sometimes you'll do a set of 10, but that set of 10 is just as important as that set of 100 because it is bringing you closer to your goal. And so first, it's not being afraid to start something, but then it's understanding that not everything that we do is going to be massive movements or massive moments of progression. There will be seasons where you take massive leaps forward, and there will be seasons where you move inches forward, right? Like, you know, becoming wealthy or like using trading as an example. There might be days where, like, you know, let's say I have a $10,000 account where I make like $200-$300 in a day. And then there may be days where I'm making $10,000-$20,000 in a day. But each win, whether it is big or small, as long as it is moving me towards my goal, it matters. It becomes important. And that becomes important in everything that we're trying to accomplish. Okay, you're trying to get in shape. All right, well, maybe you didn't do an hour workout, but for 10 minutes, you got up and you said, okay, for 10 minutes, I'm going to go up and down the stairs. Okay? That matters. Will that necessarily get you to the exact goal that you want? Maybe not. But what it is doing is it's reinforcing and it's helping the process. And the process is what you need more than anything. Because if your process is good, everything else will come. The results will come, right? But if you remain in a place where it's like, you know what, the goal is to always do this crazy workout every day. So even if I do these, 10 minutes of going up and down the stairs, it's not really what I wanted. But listen, it's something. Do it bit by bit, piece by piece. Some chunks of your journey will be big chunks. There'll be these big movements, and some of them will be small. But the most important thing is that you keep going. You have to keep going. Whether it is step by step, whether it is crawling, whether it is skipping, whether it's a fast walk, whether you are running, whether you are sprinting, just keep going at whatever pace that you can keep up at that time. If it's a sprint. If all you can do is crawl. But keep moving forward. Those small little bits, they add up and they matter. And it connects to the next thing, which is you have to know what your standard is for yourself. You can't stick to other people's standards, because this can help and hurt in two ways. Because when you stick to other people's standards, they haven't experienced your life. You haven't experienced their life. Their strengths are not your strengths. Your strengths are not their strengths. Their weaknesses are not your weaknesses. Your weaknesses are not their weaknesses. So everything that they're doing is based on their experience and what is specifically tailored to them and their journey. And so if you continue to keep your standard based on other people's standards, you're going to be completely off, because only you really know you the best, or at least you should know yourself the best, right? And so what needs to happen is you have to have your own standard for yourself. And why is that important? Because sometimes, like I think when I told somebody I was going to do 1,000 push-ups, like, wow, that's a lot. Maybe you should do 500. Maybe you should do that much. And if I had listened to that person's standard for me, I would have never achieved 1,000 push-ups. But because I looked at myself and I said, I know I can do this. I know I can do this. And that's my standard. I didn't listen to other people try to talk me out of it. As well as also understanding, like, okay, maybe if I did it with somebody who was been working out and is massively great into fitness, and they're like, just 2,000, you should aim for just 1,000, you should aim for 2,000. Like, I'm not in a place right now to be doing 2,000 push-ups in a day. Let me do my first 1,000 and see how I feel. And after doing my first 1,000, I realized, I would have to really do a lot better and being consistent in my workouts and get in much better shape if I ever wanted to attempt 2,000. It's not impossible, because and look at that. I can say 2,000 push-ups in a day is not impossible because I did 1,000 already. And I know what that felt like. And I knew if I prepared myself and I trained myself and I got my body in position to do 2,000, I'd be able to do it. And this connects to the next point, which is that the more you prepare yourself for a task or a goal, the better you will be able to achieve it. Which sounds very simple, and you'd think it's something that people could understand quite easily. But the reality is that people don't get that. They go into new activities, new experiences, new projects with no research, no understanding, no preparation, and then they get upset when they fail or they don't get the results that they wanted. It's like, for example, you go into a relationship, but you never took time to learn how to talk, to learn how to express yourself, to learn how to grow in emotional intelligence. Then now when you struggle in that relationship, you struggle communicating, you struggle understanding people, it's everybody else's fault, right? Not understanding that if you took some time to learn people, to learn nature, to learn habits, to learn how you can communicate certain ideas, you'd have far more success. It's the same thing in essence of working out. If you go into a situation and I'm not saying you need to sit into a library and study for a whole week or a month. No, that's stalling. But it helps when you go into situations with a little bit of research, with a little bit of understanding, where you did some prior reconnaissance and understand what kind of situation you're getting into. So in the understanding of how that will work with, okay, I'm gonna do 1,000 push-ups, it's really just, can you even do 100? Can you do more than 100 push-ups? And so because I've done push-ups before and I know it's something that I could do, I decided to do it. And the other side of the preparation is, am I actually in shape? Right? I'm not in the shape I want to be in, but I could play basketball for a couple hours and be fine. I can, lift a good amount of weight. I work out here and there, not as much as I want to, but I'm in okay shape. I'm in decent shape. At least for my standards, I'm in decent shape. So because I've been keeping myself at least at a decent level, I knew that I was prepared to be in a challenge like this. However, right, which is going to lead me to my next point, I invited a cousin of mine who's been working out nonstop and keeping himself in great shape to do this challenge with me. And so you would say he's far more prepared for this challenge than I am. Why? Because he's been working out longer. He's been far more consistent. And the results and the benefits of working out that he has are far greater than the benefits and the results that I would have, because he's been doing it for far more consistently than I have. Right? And so when it came to both of us doing the push-ups, he was in a much better position to succeed. We both succeeded, but it was easier for him to succeed than it was for me, because he was more prepared. Which leads me to the next point that I was saying, which is, do hard things or do the things that you want to accomplish with someone who's better at it than you. If you want to grow at singing, spend your time with singers who sing better than you. If you want to get better at business, if you want to open up a store, if you want to open up a shop, if you want to become greater at what you do, hang with people who are better at it than you are. That way you will grow. If you are constantly hanging around with people who are not as good as the things that you do, what happens is you become the leader. You're leading by example. You're leading by pulling them along. And so when you're constantly in this leadership role, you learn how to become a better leader. And yeah, you can still kind of grow, but you're not growing at the pace that you would grow if you were around someone who was far better at it than you. If you want to become a better speaker, you would hang around people who articulate themselves well, and not just hang around them, but hang around and observe. Watch what they do. Watch what they say. Watch how they move, and then see, okay, what can I take from them? What can I pull from that to add to my own? And so when I did this challenge by asking my cousin, okay, who had been working out and who was far better shape than I was, to do it with me, it became my benefit, because he was able to kind of go through it a lot faster than I was, but it became motivation for me. And it was almost me challenging myself, like, yo, let me keep up. Let me try to keep pace with him. And even though he finished it before I did, right, I didn't feel bad about that, because he was in far better shape. He's supposed to do that. But by being with someone who was in better shape than me, when he completed the challenge, it demanded that I absolutely complete the challenge. Like, I wasn't going to be complacent. And I doubt I would have been complacent, but if I had done it with someone who said, oh man, you know, I've done 500 is a lot, I think I'll stop here, and maybe another time I'll try the 1,000. Maybe I don't get to 1,000. Maybe because of that influence, maybe I might stop at 750. Now, knowing who I am, I think I'd still push it to 1,000 anyway. But it just goes to show you how important who you do things with matters. Like it's very important. Or who you do things with is very important. It can sometimes be the determining factor between whether you succeed or whether you fail. Remember, you learn best when you're the worst in the room. When they say to you, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. When you're the best in the room, you're not learning. Again, like I said, you're a leader. So you want to be around people who are more experienced, who are wiser, who are more talented, who are better at whatever you're trying to accomplish than you are. Because if you do that, then it will help you grow, because at some point you'll catch up to their level, and then now you're continuing to grow and you're continuing to grow, instead of always being in a position where you're leading everybody, but you're not in environments or realms in which you are being pushed and you're being led and you're growing, right? And that connects to the next point, because I'm keeping all the points connected. Even though you may do things with people who are better at it than you are, learn, yes, but go at it at your own pace. Don't expect you, who hasn't done, 200 push-ups in 3 years, to be able to keep up with someone who's doing 200 push-ups every other day. You guys are going to go at drastically different paces. And that is life. Like, somebody may be able to accomplish something and it takes another person a year or two. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. We all have our own pace. We all have our race to run. Everybody has lives and are managing our lives differently. Some people have kids. Some people don't. Some people are married. Some people are not. Some people are in hard relationships. Some people are in great relationships. Some people have support. Some people don't. And so all these things have determinants of the pace in which we move. Some people will be able to do certain things faster. Just because they do things faster isn't an indictment on you. If it's a race, that's different, sure. But life is not a race. It's a marathon. And we all run it at our own pace. You know what I mean? A person doesn't get more $1 million if they become a millionaire at 20 versus a person who became a millionaire at 30. Ultimately, it's you achieved it, and then what do you do once you've achieved it? That makes the biggest difference. But you run at your own pace. Comparison is the thief of joy. So move at your own pace. Have people, again, above you or more experienced or more talented than you are, so you can learn and grow. But at the same time, go at your own pace. And another one great point that I loved was realizing that I did 1,000 push-ups in a day. It hit me like, if I had done 100 push-ups every day for 10 days, that would probably yield more results in my fitness than doing 1,000 in one day. Because that consistency over the course of 10 days would have probably had more impact on shaping my body. Whereas when I do 1,000, I'm pretty sure it's doing something, but it really just leaves me sore, and it's just for that one day. Now, if I'm doing 1,000 a day for 10 days, yeah, that's going to have a massive result. But what the point really is that easier things done for longer periods of time will consistently yield more results. So me doing 100 push-ups, which is way easier than doing 1,000 push-ups, me doing 100 push-ups for 10 days straight will yield more results in my body than doing 1,000 push-ups in one day and not doing anything else for the rest of the next 10 days. And so what does that tell you? It's like, it's not about doing these big Herculean feats and whatever it is that you're trying to do. It's about doing small things consistently. And if you can do those small things consistently, those will have far more impact than doing those big, massive gestures once in a while. It's about consistency, not intensity. Consistency wins every single time. Every single time. And if you can be consistently intense, you beat everybody now. Because very few people can be consistently intense. But at the end of the day, consistently triumphs always. And so leading to the next point is use whatever you need or whatever process that works for you to keep yourself accountable. And so in doing this challenge, I know how I work. Whenever I have a crowd, whenever I'm in front of people, I'm much more like it's more of a guaranteed thing that if I say something in front of people or I say something to two people, I will follow through and do it. If it's just me, yeah, sometimes, I'll let myself down or I might not keep my word, but I know if I put it out there, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And so the first thing I did when I woke up was I'm going to do 1,000 push-ups today. And I put that on my social media and I told everybody, and I filled my first 50. And so now by doing that, people watching, they're like, yo, is he going to finish? Is he going to go through? And that keeps me accountable, because now that I've put it out there and I've said it to people, I want to be a man of my word. When I let down myself, it's just me and me. But when I put it out there, it's like, hey, you put this out there in front of the world. Like, you have to keep your end of the bargain. And of course, yes, you work on making sure that you keep your word to yourself even better than you keep your word to the world. But I'm just working with myself at where I am right now. And I knew that if I put it out there that, hey, I'm doing this, by putting it on social media, I was going to stick to it. And I was filming the entire process, showing every push up, constantly posting, and people watching me go, and I get higher and higher. People, my friends are starting to cheer me on. Friends and family are like, wow, you're really about to do it. Wow, you're close. Wow, it's 500. Okay, 700. Wow, you're almost there. 200. Okay, last 50. Let's go. And that kept me accountable. Accountability is what will get you over the hump. You have to be accountable. And if you have that accountability, that is what will help you accomplish any goal that you're trying to accomplish. I want to work out every day for five days. Find someone that you have to be accountable to. Someone who's going to check you, or put it out there. Put out the word so that now people know you said this. And so you have to keep your word. Whatever process that you have, whatever you have to do, find a way to keep yourself accountable. Then, understanding that real progress happens across months, weeks, and years, not hours. Real results, real progress is not going to be this quick microwave cookie cutter experience. Real progress takes time, and that is in building your body, that is in building your business, that is in building your relationship, your marriage, that is in building up yourself. It is not something that's going to happen in a moment. Yes, you can have a life-changing moment, but usually those moments spark a new lifestyle that you keep consistent for the next course of months, weeks, and years. And is being consistent in that new move that ends up changing everything for you. The moment can spark off a long period of consistency and moving in a new direction. You hearing that you're about to die makes you quit smoking, but you not smoking for the next 6 months is what built up your health. You hearing that if you keep eating this way, you're going to have diabetes, now sparks you to go on a diet. You keeping that diet for the next year is what creates the change in your health. And so real progress occurs over a long period of time, not a moment. And so if you just started something and you're not seeing the results that you want, it's because it's too soon. Stay consistent, because real progress occurs over long stretches of time where you are being consistent. My last point for you, the end is always the hardest. When I started off with these push-ups, I was doing 50 at a time. When I was finishing up and I was in my last 100, I was doing 10 at a time, and my body was on fire. My arms was killing me. That mental battle of like, you're so close, do you really have to, or, compromise on your formula, like all the thoughts to like, do you really want to make it to the finish line? You could just stop it. All of those thoughts come. And that's why the end becomes the hardest, because at a certain point, the pain is the pain. Like it's not changing. It's the same. The way you felt sore at 500 is about the same way you feel sore at 800. The only difference is maybe you could do 25, 20 push-ups. Now you can only do 10. But you do your 10, you take a break, you breathe, you come back, you do another 10. And you're just doing 10 at a time. But that's when it gets the toughest, because you have to have the mind that says, yo, I just did this 10 and my body's on fire, but I'm going to breathe and do another 10. And I'm going to continue to push myself until I see this go through, until I do what I say I'm going to do. And that becomes all mental. So it becomes, do you have the mental fortitude to see this through? That's why the end is always the hardest. For marathons, for anything, you know, for some things, you know, if you think about a relationship, it may not necessarily be the end, but there are moments when you have spent more time where it gets even harder. But if you're willing to see it through, if you're willing to go the distance, if you're willing to push yourself to overcome the pain, to overcome the frustration, the pride, the bad habits, if you're willing to continue to push yourself to be your better self, you will succeed. And I'm a living testimony. I just did 1,000 push-ups in a day. So I hope this has been beneficial to you. I hope it's been a blessing to you. Check out the video, man. You know, it was a fun experience, and I hope you guys can pull something from this. And if this podcast was a blessing to you and gave you something and motivated you or even encouraged you, man, hit me up. You know what I mean? I love when you guys watch it and you guys send me feedback and let me know that you were blessed by it or you benefit from it. I love the feedback. Shout me out on Instagram, Selz, SelzJP. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? It's all about giving you guys as much value as possible and just pushing ourselves to be best. So I love y'all, and it's been another one episode of SelzSpeaks. Peace out.